to reverse our policies of resource independence and to return control of our gold to foreign owners. Now Zongo was staring at his phone in growing horror. The screen showed notification after notification, messages, calls, news alerts. To the soldiers who participated in this action, you have been used. Look to your officers and ask who has recently received large payments from foreign banks. Ask why French military advisors arrived secretly in our country 3 days ago. One of the guards shifted nervously, lowering his weapon slightly. To our international friends who support true independence, now is the time to stand with Burkina Faso. And to those foreign powers who believe they can still treat Africa as their personal resource reserve, who believe they can install and remove leaders at will, your time is over. The door to the studio suddenly burst open. Captain Wedrao entered, accompanied by several soldiers wearing the insignia of the 1st Battalion loyal to Traoré. "The palace border is secured, Mr. President," Wedrao announced. "The 1st and 4th Battalions have declared their support for the legal government." The 2 guards who had been beside Traoré looked uncertainly at Colonel Zongo, who stood frozen, still staring at his phone. "The choice is now yours, Colonel," Traoré said, rising from his chair. "Continue this failed coup and face charges of betrayal, or help me expose the true foreign planners and save your honor." For a long moment, the room was absolutely still, the tension strong. Then, with a gesture of defeat, Zongo placed his sidearm on a nearby table. "How?" he asked simply. "How did you counter this so quickly?" Traoré's expression remained calm. Protocol Sierra was designed for exactly this scenario. The moment Captain Wedrao escaped the building area, he paused, his gaze getting stronger. "In the coming days, I will present evidence of this foreign getting involved. Reference to the African Union, the United Nations, and most importantly to you, the Burkina people. The days of resource colonialism are over. Africa's wealth belongs to Africans." The broadcast continued for several more minutes as Traoré outlined next steps and called for national unity. When finally the camera was switched off, he turned to Wedo. "Casualties minimal, sir. Once the evidence of foreign parts spread through the ranks, most of the 3rd Battalion stood down. They were deceived, not disloyal." Traoré nodded in satisfaction. "And the French delegation attempting to leave the country? The airport has been secured. Their private jet is being held. Ensure they are treated with diplomatic courtesy, but they are not to leave until we've completed our investigation." Over the next several hours, the full story came out. The coup had been carefully planned by French intelligence working with mining executives who had lost billions when Traoré took control of Burkina Faso's gold mines. They had recruited Zongo and several other officers, promising them power and wealth. What they hadn't expected was Protocol Sierra, Traoré's detailed defense plan based on rapid information spreading. The moment the coup began, digital evidence of foreign part was automatically released to trusted military commanders, civil society leaders, and media outlets throughout the country and across Africa. By 7 p.m. that evening, barely 16 hours after the coup began, Ibrahim Traoré stood on the palace balcony addressing thousands of citizens who had gathered in sudden support. The crowd stretched as far as the eye could see, people waving Burkina flags and carrying quickly made signs. "No to foreign getting involved," and "Our gold, our future." "Today," Traoré declared, his voice carrying across the square, "Burkina Faso faced a test and came out stronger. This wasn't my victory, it was yours. When our soldiers learned the truth that they were being used by foreign interests to undermine our independence, they chose nation over secret plan." The crowd roared its approval. "Colonel Zongo and the other officers involved will face justice. but with an important difference. Those who were merely following orders, believing they served the nation, will be treated with mercy. Those who knowingly work together with foreign powers to betray our independence will answer for their betrayal. As he spoke, Traoré noticed Zongo being escorted to a vehicle, head bowed. The colonel looked up briefly. There, the Malian diplomat leaned forward. "We've come with a proposal, a shared defense and resource independence pact between our nations. United we stand, a better chance against those who would divide and control us." For the first time in the long and difficult day, Traoré smiled broadly. From crisis comes opportunity. Yes, let's discuss this pact immediately. As the meeting continued into the early hours, plans were laid for a new kind of regional alliance, one based not on foreign approval or support, but on true independence and shared respect. The coup that had aimed to end Traoré's presidency and return Burkina Faso's resources to foreign control had instead started something its planners never intended: a stronger, more unified movement for African resource independence. 26 hours in prison. 26 hours that would change the course of not just a nation, but potentially a continent. Ibrahim Traoré had entered that prison cell as the leader of one nation under threat. He had come out as something more, a symbol of resistance against a centuries-old pattern of resource taking advantage that had kept Africa's wealth flowing outward while its people remained poor. As dawn broke over Ouagadougou, citizens were already gathering again in the central square, not called, but drawn by a shared purpose. The message spreading through markets and neighborhoods over radio waves and mobile phones was clear and powerful. What belongs to Africa must serve Africans first. The time of taking had ended. The time of taking back had begun. The coup attempt seemed successful. The palace had been taken, the president was captured, and the French supporters were ready. But there was one thing the planners didn't think about: Ibrahim Traoré's ability to win a nation even while in prison. The first shots were fired at 3:14 a.m. Ibrahim Traoré, president of Burkina Faso, was awake when it happened. He'd been working late in his simple office within the presidential building area, reviewing mining contracts that foreign companies wanted to renew. These were the same contracts he had been step by step taking apart, returning control of Burkina Faso's huge gold supplies to its people. The sound of gunfire was clear, short bursts from machine guns. His security chief, Captain Rao, burst into the office. "Mr. President, we're under attack! The palace border has been broken through!" Traoré nodded calmly, as if he'd been expecting this. In truth, he had been. Intelligence reports had warned of growing unhappiness among certain military groups, particularly those with old connections to France. "How many?" Traoré asked. "Initial estimate is 40 to 50 soldiers, sir. They're wearing our uniforms, but they're not loyal troops," Traoré finished for him. "3rd Battalion?" "Yes, sir. Colonel Zongo appears to be leading them." Traoré's expression darkened. Colonel Pierre Zongo had been his classmate at the military academy years ago. A skilled officer, but always too in love with Western powers and their promises. "Escape route?" Traoré asked, already knowing the answer. "Blocked, sir. They moved faster than we expected. The Presidential Guard is fighting them at the south entrance, but they're fewer in number." Traoré rose from his desk, straightening his simple military uniform. He wore no fancy decorations or symbols of rank, a planned choice to distance himself from the rich leaders of the past. "No escape, then," he said with amazing calm. "We don't risk more Burkinabe lives in a firefight, not for one man, even if that man is president." Captain Rao looked upset. "Sir, with respect, you can't give up. If they take you, If they take me, Traoré interrupted, then we enter a different kind of battle, one fought with words and will rather than bullets. He checked his watch. Activate Protocol Sierra. You know what to do. Rao straightened, understanding the importance. Protocol Sierra was a backup plan Traoré had set up months earlier, not for his personal protection, but for preserving the country's independence in case of his capture or killing. It will be done, Mr. President. The sounds of fighting grew closer. Shouted orders, more gunfire, the clear thud of stun grenades. Go now, Traoré ordered. That's a direct command. Rao hesitated only briefly before offering a sharp salute and disappearing through a hidden door behind a bookcase. It led to a system of tunnels. Traoré switched off the recorder and slipped it in. To his pocket, in one smooth motion, he remained seated, showing a feeling of calm power that clearly worried the soldiers. What crimes would those be, Pierre? He asked, on purpose using Zongo's first name. Is it a crime to ensure Burkina Faso's gold benefits its people rather than foreign owners? Zongo's expression tightened. Don't make this more difficult than it needs to be. Come with us now, and you'll be treated with respect. Traoré stood slowly, hands visible. I don't fear death, Pierre. I've faced it too many times to be afraid now. But ask yourself, who profits most from this action tonight? Is it the people of Burkina Faso? Or is it those who called our country Upper Volta with nothing and have been desperate to regain control of our resources? A flicker of doubt crossed Zongo's face, quickly hidden. You'll have plenty of time for speeches later. Now move! As the soldiers surrounded him, Traoré noticed something odd. They avoided meeting his eyes. Shame, perhaps. These were Burkinabe soldiers after all, men who had sworn to defend their nation, not overthrow its chosen by the people leader. They led him through corridors where signs of struggle were clear. Knocked over furniture, bullet holes in walls, bloodstains on the floor. Traoré felt a feeling of sadness for the loyal guards who had clearly fought to protect him. How many dead? He asked as they walked. 12 of your guards, Zongo replied without turning. 4 of mine, 16 Burkinabe sons, Traoré said softly. 16 families who will mourn tonight because of foreign gold. One of the younger soldiers escorting him clearly jumped. They took him to a secure room in the east wing of the building area. Ironically, a strong, safe room designed to protect the president in case of attack, now serving as his prison cell. The room had no windows, a single, strengthened door and basic things, a bed, toilet, and sink. You'll remain here until the public announcement tomorrow morning, Zongo informed him. I suggest you use this time to prepare a resignation speech. It will be better for everyone. And if I refuse? Zongo's expression hardened. Then we'll have a different kind of announcement. After they left, locking the heavy door behind them, Traoré carefully inspected his cell. The room was designed to withstand assault from outside, not to contain someone within. Still, without tools, the strengthened door was impossible to break through. He checked his watch. 4:27 a.m. The coup had unfolded swiftly, as military operations tend to. Now would begin the political phase, building up power, seeking international recognition, establishing right to rule. Traoré sat on the edge of the bed, closed his eyes, and began to plan. Not an escape. That was unlikely. Instead, he focused on turning this situation to his advantage. He knew this coup didn't start solely within Burkina Faso's military. The young man froze, surprised. Yes, sir. I visited there 3 months ago. We inaugurated a new school and health clinic built with proceeds from the Bisa gold mine. Traoré's voice was friendly talk without blame. The same mine that foreign companies took out from for decades while paying only 3% in payments to our people. The soldier shifted uncomfortably. I should go, sir. Of course, but tell me. Private Wado, sir? Private Salam Wado? Private Wadrago? Has Colonel Zongo explained what happens next after I'm removed? The young soldier hesitated. He said there will be new elections eventually, that things will improve. Traoré nodded thoughtfully. I see. Have you heard any foreign voices in the building area since last night? French accents, perhaps? Private Wadrago's eyes widened slightly. I must go, sir. After he left, Traoré allowed himself a small smile. The young soldier's reaction had confirmed his feeling. French agents were already present, directing events from the shadows. At 10 a.m., the door opened again. This time, Colonel Zongo entered with 2 armed guards. It's time, he said. The national broadcast is scheduled for noon. You will read this statement. He handed Traoré a printed document. Traoré scanned it quickly. A formal resignation citing health reasons, promising a peaceful transition to a military council that would restore legal government within an unclear time frame. And if I refuse? Traoré asked again. Then we broadcast evidence of your dishonesty instead, Zongo replied coldly. Documents showing your private accounts in Dubai filled with money from Chinese mining interests. Traoré actually laughed at this. Fake documents, you mean? I've never taken a franc that wasn't my official salary. The truth doesn't matter, Zongo said with a shrug. Only perception. You're wrong, Pierre, Traoré replied, his voice suddenly still. The truth always matters. It may be delayed, hidden, even buried for a time, but it emerges eventually, like water finding its path through stone. Something in his tone made Zongo uncomfortable. You have 2 hours to decide, he said, turning to leave. Choose wisely. When they were gone, Traoré carefully tore the resignation letter into tiny pieces and flushed them down the toilet. Then he removed the digital recorder from his pocket. They hadn't searched him completely, another sign of the operation's hasty planning, and began speaking. This additional statement is recorded at about 10:15 a.m. Colonel Zongo has confirmed French pardon by his reactions. They intend to force a false resignation. I refuse. The Burkina people deserve to know who truly seeks to control their nation and its resources. At exactly noon, Traoré was escorted to what had once been the palace's media room. A camera was set up, broadcasting equipment ready. Standing off to the side, Traoré noticed a white man in non-military clothing giving directions in French-accented English. Their eyes met briefly, and the man quickly looked away. Sit there. Z. Traoré looked directly into the camera, his gaze. Steady people of Burkina Faso. I speak to you not from the freedom of the presidential office, but from prison within our own palace. Last night, at about 3 o'clock in the morning, a group of our military, led by Colonel Pierre Zongo, acting under foreign direction, attempted a coup d'etat. Zongo lunged forward. Cut the broadcast! Cut it now! But the technician seemed frozen, his hands away from the controls. Traoré continued smoothly. I am currently being held prisoner, and have been asked to read a false resignation. I refuse. The soldiers who participated in this action are not our enemies. They are our brothers who have been misled. The true planners of this coup are not even Burkinabe citizens. The foreign advisor was now shouting, but strangely no one moved to stop the broadcast. At this very moment, Traoré continued. Documents are being released to every media outlet in the country and across Africa, showing the direct part of foreign mining interests and intelligence services in planning this coup. Their goal is simple: